Mr. Mayor, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, John.
You and I were texting last night around the time that this order statewide came into place. Give us a sense of how things are looking out there a little less than 24 hours after the decision was made and the order was announced by Governor Newsom.
Well, we have it working. Folks are not on the streets. Besides critical workers, they've been already, I think, going home before the order was given here in Los Angeles and then statewide. I applaud the governor for doing that. It was the right thing to do. Northern California had done it. I called him and let him know we were going to be doing it as well. And look, when it feels wrong, it's the right time to do it. By the time it feels right, it's too late. And my advice, I just got off a phone call with a couple hundred mayors around the country, is do this now.
Right.
I think we all fantasize there's a moat around our city, a protective shield. Every single place it is now coming to. And the sooner you can do this, the better off you're going to be and the quicker you're going to get out of this.
You and Governor Newsom, it sounds like, on the basis of what you just said, worked pretty closely together on this. I mean, obviously here in New York City and New York State, we have a slightly different situation. We have a mayor and a governor who don't always see eye to eye. You and Newsom and Gavin have worked together pretty closely on a lot of things. It sounds like you were headed in this direction, maybe even ahead of him on the statewide level. Is that what I heard you just say?
No, look, we I think we're an hour earlier, but it's not about who's first. It's about the right decision. Right. San Francisco did it a couple days earlier with Santa Clara and other counties. The night before that, we had done it with bars and restaurants. This isn't a contest politically. Right. This is a public health emergency that I would implore every political leader to get to as quickly as possible. And I appreciate some of the language you use. This is not a shelter in place. That's the wrong term. And thank you, MSNBC, for not using that. That's a school shooting thing that says stay where you are. This is not a lockdown because people can still walk. They can be healthy. They can connect with friends over the phone. And many critical workers are still working. But this is, looking at history, 1918 shows us places that act slowly had many more deaths. Those that acted quickly had many fewer. If you believe all human life is precious, do this now. And those who would say the economy can't take it, the economy can't take more cases. The economy can't take more deaths. These people won't go to work later because of the health crisis. Right now, if you can keep them home while they're healthy, that is much better to do. You have to be brave. I know I did this with a very heavy heart, but I did it with a very clear mind and a steely resolve to get this done.
Well, I'll give you credit where credit's due. Mr. Mayor, you were the one who said to me last night as we were communicating about this, you corrected me by saying shelter in place was the wrong language and that stay at home was the right language, and I took that to heart. And I think it's important because here in New York and in any place that's either already gone into one of these modes or is about to or considering going into, there's a lot of concern on the part of citizens, obviously, that about what this will mean for them, about what the exceptions are, about how the enforcement's going to work. Will they get arrested if they go outside their house to walk their dog, if they go to the grocery store? And I think the starting point for getting people to feel comfortable with this is using the proper language, stay at home rather than shelter in place. But talk a little bit about those exceptions and how it's going to work there in your city, because I know a lot of Los Angelinos, even with the right language, are right now wondering what their life is going to look like. And I'm going to talk to you in a second about for how long, but let's just stay with what it's going to look like, what the exceptions are and how enforcement works first.
So broadly, it's about what you can do as much as what you can't do. And let me start with psychologically how it feels. We know the first couple of days this will be extremely jarring on top of a lot of the economic dislocation people are feeling. But life settles in. I talked to folks around the world, Mayor of Milan. I talked to folks in Hong Kong before doing this. Life does settle in, and the worst case scenarios don't actually bear out. When people are buying guns or talking about social unrest, this is just a public health emergency. Crime is actually down. Acts of generosity are up. You can still go out, and we encourage people to be healthy. Don't go out in an exercise group, a jogging club, but go with one other person. Keep your distance, or if it's one of your household folks, go out for a walk. I took my daughter for a walk this morning as I was teaching her, because her principal is her mom, of course, but I've been assigned as the science teacher. So we were talking about pollinators and bees and hummingbirds. Life actually continues. And so many people were hanging out their windows saying, hi, Mayor, hi, neighbor, thank you. It was almost like out of a musical. it's felt like there should be birds chirping and deer running around in terms of the kindness people had, even in the midst of what I don't want to downplay is immensely hard days. So the exceptions are things like construction of our critical infrastructure, of course, our stores like grocery stores, hardware stores, and others, our medical facilities, of course, the financial mechanisms we need through banks and accountants who can make payroll. If you go to coronavirus.lacity.org, there's not only the order, but frequently asked questions. The people can begin to educate themselves as they prepare. It's coming to your state and your city. The sooner you can prepare, the calmer a very difficult thing becomes.
The big crisis here, Eric, is the question of medical supplies, and that's what what Mayor de Blasio has been focusing on. He's focusing on the hospitals about to be under an enormous stress, about the shortage of medical supplies. I wonder how bad and how bleak the circumstances are out in Los Angeles, and most importantly, what you're hearing from the federal government in terms of the help that you might expect to the extent that you have a big problem on your hands.
Well, we hear mixed things. With some officials, we get great cooperation and some assistance, but from, even the highest levels, people are saying we're not delivery clerks. So we're not expecting the cavalry to come. It is a national travesty and tragedy that we are so ill prepared for this. And I do believe there could very likely be a second spike when the flu season picks up again in October, November, December, especially if we're successful in pushing out the curve and fewer people getting sick in our cities. And we need to be prepared for this also 6-7 months from now. But in the meantime, LA has a very special role. LA and Long Beach ports bring about 43% of the goods into America. We have longshore workers who are doing heroic work, warehouse workers, truck drivers, bringing in the supplies from around the world and around the country. We're also a manufacturing center, so we've gone to our apparel industry, one of the areas that we still have in America, some apparel manufacturing, asking them to step up as well. We just got 5 million masks. We're giving those not just to first responders and medical personnel, but to some of our grocery clerks to protect them and make sure they can show up to work healthy. But long story short, there is not enough. There was 200 swabs we got yesterday, 200 swabs. Wow. And we're going to need to do thousands of tests. We're scrambling every day to find these things everywhere, and not a lot of federal help.
We have, again, in New York, we're talking about things like converting hotels and dorm rooms and the Javits Center. Are you guys about to make moves like that out there? Is that on your horizon in the short term?
Yeah, it's already underway. I announced 2 days ago, for instance, for our homeless population here, we're mobilizing a historic mobilization of 1,600 beds we'll have ready by the end of this weekend, 6,000 beds by a week or two later. We'll also we've already secured about 400 motel rooms, but we're looking at that being quickly 4 digits into the thousands with our county to make sure that not just folks who are homeless, but people who are patients can go into areas. And we already greenlit our convention center days ago. We're looking at all the spaces and places, especially near hospitals. And one thing is that counties sometimes aren't set up to plan from further than right now. And so we're just saying, how can we help as a city and the 88 other cities of LA County? Can we offer our surplus property? Can we do something next to a hospital? Remember, counties don't run all the hospitals. Some of them are private, nonprofit. So leadership requires mayors and others to really bring everybody together and say, this might be a confederation of a system in this country when it comes to healthcare, but we need to act together. And we've been doing that on tests. We've been doing that now on hospital beds. We think it's maybe 6 to 9 days off before we're overwhelmed, but hopefully these measures will push that out even further.
Right. I know you got to go, but I got 2 quick ones more for you. One is, you just mentioned the date, the time frame, and I know you can't with any certainty talk about how long the stay-at-home order is going to be in place. But as you imagine it right now, what's the minimum you could imagine this thing going on for? Are you thinking in terms of days, weeks, or months?
Months, for sure. We said 1 month, but looking at a place like China and Wuhan, that was a 2-month order in a place that has a lot more control over people's movements. I think that's what we're probably going to have to bunker in for. I'd love to be able to lift that after a month, and we'll certainly look at it. But just I want to be honest with everybody preparing for this. I think we're looking at 2 months at least.
And let me ask you the last thing. We've seen a real study in contrast here. Our governor today ended in the middle of his press conference, basically said, the buck stops with me. If this doesn't work right, it's on me. I take responsibility, whether this goes right or whether it goes wrong. The President of the United States has had a slightly different attitude. I'm curious about how you're handling that question in Los Angeles. Does the buck stop at the mayor's office, or does it stop someplace else at either the federal or the state level?
It better stop here, and it better also stop at the White House and every state house and everything in between. This is when leaders lead. You make uncomfortable decisions, you make bold moves, you bring people together, you get rid of partisanship, you stop the squabbling, If you're going to complain about something, bring a solution to it. And this is a time for us to bring out our better angels. And I do want to end on that positive note. As tough as we've seen some of the political leadership be, I've seen more leadership from everyday Americans than I've ever seen in my life. This was the toughest day I've been an elected official yesterday in my life. And yet when you think about the acts of kindness and how crime has fallen and how people are just stepping up and feeding folks and catching them, and we have so much more work to do, especially for our immigrants. We cannot forget them. I've been blown away that the spirit of this nation is not weak, even if the organization of this country was weak. And I think that that will inspire us to get through this and be better prepared when this comes back until there's a vaccine.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.